You're ready to start querying literary agents, but what are they looking for? Well, I'm gonna tell you some things in this video that may surprise you, and I need you to promise that you'll watch this entire video because the last thing I tell you is the most important, okay? Let's go. When I wrote my first novel and wanted, it to be published, naturally, I knew I needed to get a literary agent in order to reach the big publishers, but I didn't know how that part worked. So I bought that year's Guide to Literary Agents and I sent out over 100 identical letters. I did not personalize them. I just changed the dear field. And in the letter, I described the book I had written and asked if they wanted to read it. Guess what I heard in response to this mass email? Crickets, right? I mean, it makes me cringe now to even share this story. I was essentially a spammer. I didn't even personalize the notes. So suffice it to say, this is not the way to get a literary agent. Luckily, I learned finally to be far more tailored and intentional, than this sort of mass communication approach, which ultimately did allow me to, not only sign with a literary agent, who is still my agent, but also sell 3 novels. So let's talk about what literary agents are actually looking for other than the obvious, which is a book that they can sell. Number 1 is someone who can follow their directions. All right, so this one is about following proper procedures. It may not sound important, but trust me, it is. Sadly, I have known quite a few writers who have received rejections or, a no thank you from literary agents because they truly just didn't follow the agent's specific directions. They were not turned down based on their project, their writing merit, like nothing actually substantive, but because they didn't send what the agent specifically requested. So here are some tips. If an agent requests any sample material, because not all of them do right away, you want to do what they ask, which is often going to be to paste that material in the body of the email, if that's what they ask for. If they are open to an attachment, which again, not all of them are, you want to send it in Microsoft Word, not a PDF. Also, make sure you only send the pages they request. If they want the first 10, send the first 10, not the first 50 or, God forbid, the whole document. And don't send them your first draft, of course. I mean, I feel the need to say this, even though hopefully it's common sense, but make sure this is your most polished draft, not something that has placeholders or that you just finished for the first time yesterday. And please, for the love of God, do not send a password protected document. Just never, ever do that. Okay, number 2 is someone who behaves like someone they want to work with. If you were applying for a new job and sending off a resume with a cover letter, how would you address the person you were sending it to? Would your salutation be something like, yo, hey there? Or would it even be on the other end of the spectrum, super formal, like dear sir or madame? Probably not, right? Probably it would be neither of those things. One of them is way too informal and one is too formal. Both are weird. It shouldn't be your salutation for a query letter either. So should you use dear or hi? Should you call them, Mr. or Ms. or use their first name? Well, none of these details I think really matter as much as having a general vibe of professionalism. You want to speak to them and write to them like someone who might become your actual, professional colleague, not your future bestie necessarily. You want to keep it professional. So how would you speak to a new colleague or a prospective colleague? And this carries beyond just the salutation. You want to be friendly and personable. Tell them about yourself, even if you haven't published before. Most of the writers I work with have not been previously published. And when we talk about what to include in a query letter, this is one of the things I reassure them of. It's okay that their short little bio doesn't include publication credits. The agent still wants to know who's writing to them. You might feel like you're boring, but you're not. They're gonna wanna know who they would be working with. The third thing they're looking for that's not always obvious is someone who's already made their job of pitching the book easier. Okay, you have a 75,000 word novel, or longer often, that in your query letter, you are going to be condensing into like a 1-line pitch. 1 line, right? That's hard. That's hard to do. It's hard to capture the essence of an entire book in one sentence. But it's not only possible, it's necessary. The agent will need this one-line description to sell your book. And so it's really helpful if you go ahead and do it for them. This will help them know if they can sell it and how they will sell it, which is why a lot of them expect you to do that in the query letter. One of the things I help writers do is write, their one-line pitch so that they can nail the heart of their book in this very important letter to agents. If you've already written a great one-line pitch, then kudos, you've done some of the selling for the agent already. I've had the really cool experience of helping a writer come up with a one-line pitch and then seeing that one-line pitch not only land him a literary agent, but also appear in the publication announcement from the publisher when they announced that his book was going to be coming out. It made it all the way through from, querying to pitching to announcing the ultimate publication. So these one-line pitches truly do have a shelf life beyond just the query letter that you're sending out right now. Okay, I have one more thing that literary agents look for in authors, and it's the most important one. But before I get to it, quick invitation. I have a free private group for writers working on books where once a month I host a live event where I plan out the first third of a new novel from scratch. It's super fun. It's like improv meets novel writing, and you'll learn my tricks by watching and participating. You can join 30,000 words in 30 minutes. Watch Mary plan the first third of a novel from scratch at the link below this video. Okay, back to the video. Okay, and the last thing they're looking for is not someone whose query stands out. Okay, so far I've talked about all the things a literary agent looks for in an author, but this is one that they aren't looking for, and it's, I think, the most important one. Don't try to stand out with your query letter. Yes, agents get hundreds of query letters a week. That's not an exaggeration. That's what my agent has told me she actually gets. And yes, this is a lot to dig through, but this doesn't mean that using a gimmick, like a GIF or a meme, or using an overly friendly or personal tone is gonna win you any favors. We don't want the email equivalent of using like scented paper or putting confetti in the envelope. One agent told me it's a pet peeve of hers when writers are obviously trying to grab her attention, because you don't need to grab her attention. You have her attention, so just be professional. You want your writing to stand out, not how quirky or weird you're being in your query letter. So that is not the place to try to be interesting. That is the place to try to be bland. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, I'm guessing that you're writing a book or want to write a book. And if so, I have something for you. A few years ago, I created the 4 notebooks method. It's my process for handwriting a novel across 4 notebooks. This is a strategy to map out your story structure in a way that doesn't lock you into an outline or suck all the fun out of the writing process and the freedom of it. So if you would like to learn this method and get a free digital template for writing your novel across 4 notebooks, go to the link below this video. To get the template, you just have to apply for my program, the Book Incubator. The application is only 2 questions, and it'll take you under 5 minutes. You'll get the template right away. Also, whether you join or not, there's no pressure to enroll. So just click below to tell me a little bit about you and your book or your book idea. I'm excited to hear from you and send you the template right away.